Just a warning, this is one of those videos that's going to get under a lot of people's skin. Cognitive dissonance is the nail in the coffin of PSYOPs, so to speak. A few videos back, we talked about the four steps that cause the loop, so to speak. Well, this is the thing that you introduced to explode that and literally cause that brain tumor to occur in your target, turning them into a little puddle of malleable mush. One of the best examples of cognitive dissonance in Hollywood was the moment when this character, played by Jack Nicholson, realized he was caught. It was the moment when the Tom Cruise character said, "Why the two orders? You just told me that all of your men follow orders. If that was the case, why did PFC Santiago need to be transferred off the base? If you had given an order he wasn't to be touched, why was he in any danger?" You see, this moment right here, this moment of quiet, is literally exactly the goal of every military interrogator. When you have somebody and you've got them good and they have no answer, and you literally hear, and I brought this up just to show it, you literally hear that spoink, that clicking noise go off, and then all of a sudden they just reach out with rage and start just slinging mud and all sorts of things. He even tries to storm out of the courtroom, and they have to have him restrained. And of course, he then gives up what he did. That's probably not something that a full-bird Marine colonel would do. Full-bird Marine colonels have had more than their fair share of psychological operations training and would have understood exactly what the lieutenant was doing. However, I have something for my viewers that is akin to that moment. We have been watching the situation in Virginia with the Second Amendment. There's a group of people that think they know what the Constitution says. They've morphed it, they've warped it, they have tried to make it out to be some grand promise from God through our founding fathers that they would always be entitled to a gun. That is the promise they believe. You see, whenever you confront them on this, they say, our rights come from God, not from man, not from Constitution. They're just enshrined and enumerated in the Constitution, but, and here's the quote, God gave us a right to a gun. God gave us a right to self-defense. You see, that's their argument. But there's a gotcha moment in that they don't understand. So, if God gave you a right to a gun, who is any man to take it away for any reason from any man? Even those in prison. Remember the map videos where I talked about shit hits the fan? These guys start hitting the streets because the state can no longer support them. According to you, all men have endowed to them from God, not government, a right to a gun, even these people. And oh no, nowhere does it say in there that unless you're a felon or unless you've committed a crime. See, this is what the anarchists put out. They think there should be no government. There was one larger channel that wanted to get into a debate with me on YouTube about this. I almost took him up on it, but, you can't really trust people these days. To keep the debate about just the debate and not have it devolve into some ad hominem attack on each other, so that's why I let that go. I'm not going to mention the channel. I'll reference it down in the pinned comment for those who want to discuss it. But the point being, so those of you who believe the right is from God to men, meaning the right of the people, not the right of the citizens. Oh yeah, by the way, in 1789, there was no such thing as a U.S. citizen. The people who put together the Constitution, there were 13 states. And those states had people living in them, but there was no citizenship test. In 1789, when they ratified that Constitution, there was no U.S. citizenship test in 1789 when the Constitution in this country was ratified with the Second Amendment. So you can't say it's only for people who were born here, because that would really preclude a lot of you, because a lot of you, your relatives, came here post 1789 and didn't take any citizenship tests. So according to you, every MS-13 gang member has a God-given right to a gun. Every Crip, every Blood, every thug in Baltimore, a right to a gun. Because you believe your rights come from God, the rights of men, not citizens, not U.S. citizens, not people born here, not white people, not Republicans. Man, with the right of self-defense, unforfeitable. Where does it say? Do you say that God gives you this right, but then government can take it away if you don't behave a certain way? Does that sound like a right given from God? See, this is the cognitive dissonance moment that a lot of people listening are having, because they can't jive the two. And there is a super duper fantastic article out that covers this exact thing, and it's on Fox, believe it or not. They accidentally did some reporting, and they don't even realize they did it. This is from, well, it's not from 4 hours ago now. This is from quite a while ago. I mean, like maybe 8 hours ago. So over 30 Florida local governments sue state of Florida, seek ability to regulate firearms. Now, here's where you're going to have to really think about what side you're on. You see, there are localities here in Florida that want to enact incredibly strict regulations on firearms, right? You would think that's a bad thing. But here's the problem. Here's what the state of Florida has said. And if you're a pro-gun person, the pro-Second Amendment person, the people marching in Virginia, this is the side you would be on. You ready for this? This is Florida Statute 790.33. Except as expressly provided by the state constitution or general law, the legislature hereby declares that it is occupying the whole field of regulation of firearms and ammunition, including the purchase, sale, transfer, taxation, manufacture, ownership, possession, storage, and transportation thereof, to the exclusion of all existing and future county, city, town, or municipal ordinances or any administrative regulations or rules adopted by local or state government relating thereto. Any such existing ordinances, rules, or regulations are hereby declared null and void. If you want to see Tyranny 101, you just heard it. You just heard the transcript of it. Because here's what the state of Florida has done on your behalf, pro-Second Amendment gun nut. They have said that we now are the final authority on what a proper level of, what's the word you guys use all the time? Oh, that's right, infringement. See, they're going to determine now the proper level of infringement upon your rights, and no smaller government than them will be able to step in by this state statute. So you have a really weird choice here. You can either stand with local governments, who should be the most powerful governments around. I mean, that's what a true constitution-based belief system, republic system, should operate as. The smallest government is the biggest, best, most powerful. And the farther up the chain you go, the less powerful they become. That's a proper conservative belief. If you believe this, then you stand against the state of Florida in the statement. But if you stand against the state of Florida in the statement, you would be for the right of localities to make even more heavy restriction on guns than the state had. So you're caught in betwixt and between here. On one hand, you want to say you're for small government, but on the other hand, when the state steps in and does something you agree with, you're all for it. You see, what you're going through right now, up there, guys, in Virginia, we went through 3 years ago. Remember Parkland? We had this fight. We had this discussion. It went on. You guys just weren't paying attention, is all I can figure. And oh, by the way, you capitalists, you don't have a right to be sold a gun because no one has any constitutional duty to sell you one, do they? Who are you going to force to sell you guns? What if it stops becoming profitable? What if it starts becoming just an untenable kind of business to operate it in the way that it is now, which the government could make happen very easily through simple commerce regulation laws? That has nothing to do with guns. They could make them insanely expensive. Same thing with ammunition. Guys go out of business. If you don't have a gun store within 100 miles, is that infringing? Should somebody be forced to open one and sell them to you? Where does it say in the Constitution that you have a right to buy one? It doesn't, does it? This is the problem. This is where the entire logic of these, and I hate to use the term gun nuts, but they're absolutely nuts. They're completely illogically driven, because they think that they're thinking when they're actually feeling. And this is a result of psychological operations for a very long time. Logic has left the building a long time ago with those marching up in Virginia. It's all emotion. It's all feeling. No logic. Because they can't answer the question. If God gave it to you, if God gave it to man, who are you to say, this guy's a thief, he can't have one. This guy's some other criminal, he can't have one. Or she can't have one. If God gave it to you, and God endowed you with that right, who is government to restrict it at all? You might as well hand them out to MS-13 as they come across the border. Because, like it says, not citizens. There was no citizenship test in 1789 when they passed it. It said the right of the people. There was no one in this country in 1789 who had passed a citizenship test, and when people started stepping off the boats, nobody made them take tests. Boom. They were the American people, just by virtue of existing here. And all that stuff about immigration and citizenship tests and controlling, that all came long time after 1789. So you have a choice. God or government. Like, share, subscribe.